During the extended lockdown, the government has allowed many businesses and offices to resume work at their office places. And in 2 weeks from now, after May 17th, a lot more businesses will be allowed to open up. Now, we have to remember that we're still fighting a pandemic, we're still fighting coronavirus, and that's why precautions are the need of the hour. After all, prevention is better than cure. And that's why we've formulated 10 steps, 10 basic regulations that every company and every business must follow once they open their offices again. The first step is that of fumigation. The entire workplace must be sanitized and must be fumigated. This will mean a very elaborate process by the management of the company in ensuring that your workplace, your work desk, your computer, all of that is regularly kept sanitized. The second step is in ensuring that proper personal protective equipment is given out. This is particularly for those who step out of the office places and interact with others. For example, security guards, people who work in the office, you've got the cafeteria staff, all of them must be given proper protective equipment. So what do we mean by proper protective equipment? It will mean that they have rubber gloves, they have a face shield, and of course they have face masks at all times. Another regulation is ensuring thermal checks and masks are there. Of course, it's mandatory for every person stepping outside of their homes to wear a mask, and companies must also play an important role in ensuring that that is enforced. Any employee who's not wearing a mask must not be allowed into the office. Similarly, while within the workplace, ensure that employees are in fact told to always wear their face mask. Thermal checks are the most effective way of ensuring that anyone who has any sort of symptom of coronavirus is immediately identified. A thermal check will denote if a person has high temperature and thereby can be identified and immediately told to quarantine themselves or go for the necessary health checkups. Now, another important step that companies can take is to ensure that there's no biometrics. That will mean that there's much lesser contact when a person enters the office. Instead of biometric attendance, which is used in most offices in India these days, you can replace that with either manual attendance or, of course, like we do here in the India Today Mediaplex, you can use your ID card to screen your attendance. Now, another regulation is that of personal hygiene, and employees must be made aware of the importance of personal hygiene at this kind of a time when we're fighting a virus that spreads so very quickly. Besides, of course, the regular use of hand sanitizers and keeping hand sanitizers at your desk, which has, of course, the necessary proportion of alcohol, it's also important that employees are made aware of basic steps that they can take to ensure that they keep themselves at their hygienic best. Another step that can be taken while in cafeterias is that employees should not be allowed to sit too close to each other. Maintaining social distancing is so very important even in cafeterias during lunch hours or eating hours, and there should be an adequate distance that's maintained between tables, or even if employees are sharing a table, to ensure that social distancing is maintained. Another crucial step in offices is that of auditing hygiene, and this means that washrooms must be kept clean at all points. Staff must be told to ensure that regularly washrooms are cleaned and sanitized properly, and this will mean also the cleaning of taps, the cleaning of door handles and any other surfaces that employees tend to touch a lot. All of that will have to be regularly sanitized because we're dealing with a virus that spreads so very fast. Now, another important step that offices and the management must take is in ensuring that there is proper sanitation and steps being taken for social distancing in common places. This would mean places like lifts, where there must be steps to ensure that too many people don't use the lift at the same time. Another very important regulation is ensuring that there's no physical contact. This is perhaps one of the most important steps that companies can take. Minimize physical contact as much as possible, and this will mean that you limit the number of employees who come into the office, besides which also steps can be taken to ensure that people do not come together in the same shift at the same time. Segregate people into different shifts so that there's minimum physical contact with other employees, or for that matter with people in different floors of the office. Now, the last regulation that we'd advise is on employees who are coming from red zones. It's very, very important that we take all the precautions at hand. First, of course, try to avoid having these employees come to work. Work from home is a great option. We've been doing it for over 40 days, and perhaps extend it for employees who are coming from sensitive areas and most importantly from containment zones. Another step, if the employee must come to office, is to ensure that separate booths are set up to do a more detailed health checkup before they enter the office. It's important to highlight that one employee with even the smallest of symptom can then infect every other person in the office, and that's why these steps of people who are coming from containment zones are so very important. Now, all of these guidelines that we've just told you are basic steps that every company must take to ensure that there is no spread of coronavirus. Basic steps and basic regulations like this can help in every single person doing their bit to control the spread of coronavirus as we get ready to slowly lift more of the curbs that are in place in the country. But remember, our fight against coronavirus continues.